Good morning, teachers. Welcome to some additional games. Today I'm not using the wooden game board like I did last time. I'm using a flannel graph game board instead. Now, if you don't have a flannel graph board, this one actually I made from a cardboard box. It was a big box, but I cut out on the cardboard box the box itself, and then I covered that box with a yellow flannel. But my squares are red and yellow, and a yellow background will blend too much into my square. So I turned around and covered my yellow flannel board with blue flannel to make the yellow and red squares pop out a little bit more. And you can use whatever type of squares that you want, whatever color. These squares, these flannel squares, can be purchased in a multitude of stores for almost nothing. I mean, I think these were 32 cents a piece to get these flannel squares. And I encourage you to use whatever squares go with your lesson or with your season. If it's Christmas time, I probably would use red and white squares. Easter time, I would use squares like this, something that would more match the Easter season. And one of the games that you can play, one of the main ones, is tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row. If you're not familiar with this game, which I'm sure most of you are, the whole point is to get 3 characters straight in a row. So you ask your students what the questions are. If they get it right, then they get to tell you which square to put their characters in. And the first group that gets 3 in a row is the winner of the game. Now, this is a game that they win pretty quickly, so if you have enough questions put together ahead of time, you could play it several times. If you have a younger student on one of the sides, and that student may not understand tic-tac-toe, I do allow some of the others on his side to help assist the student to know where to place the square. Although I don't make the younger student absolutely put it where the older ones say. It's still his or her choice as to what square to put it in. If your teams have pretty much the same age group on both sides, then don't let them do that. Let whoever answers the question actually decide where the square goes, and that team wins or that team loses. Something else that I have found that they've absolutely loved is I used to have one of these that I had stitched together. And so I sewed all of the edges together. You could pick it up in one big piece. And I put that piece on the floor, put a piece of tape across the floor a boundary they could not step over. And I had bean bags. So they would answer a question, and then they would get to try to toss the bean bag. And whichever square the bean bag landed on, it stayed on that square. Now, if it went like this, where it was in between, I would always move it to the square that the bean bag was mostly on. And if you really can't tell which square, if it's absolutely perfectly in the middle, let them throw it again. But again, they would be trying to play tic-tac-toe by throwing bean bags. And you can also put numbers or amounts, like 10 points for the middle one, 2 points for the sides, and maybe 5 points for the edges, where they throw the bean bag. If they get the center, then they get 10 points. And you could have 4 bean bags on the center, and each time it would be worth 10 points. And at the end of the game, add those points together, and you know which team is your winner. Thank you for joining me today.